All right, so I was not aware of this. I see now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're a big fan of Olympic sports, maybe you like this idea. The enhanced games, that's how they're being billed, and they're going to be held in Las Vegas next May. The idea here is to allow athletes to basically take performance enhancing drugs. I was going to say the more the better, but obviously to a point, because I'm on the website for the enhanced games, and it says all athletes competing in the enhanced games will undergo extensive medical profiling prior to competition, which will allow our independent medical commission to make an informed decision about whether the athletes are safe to compete. So this is not about what you took. It seems like to me it's about how much you're going to take and whether there's at some point, science-wise, you can get to a point where, no, I'm sorry, that's not safe anymore. I don't know. Patrice Brunet is a lawyer practicing in sports law. He's on the line. Patrick, I would ask you what you think about this, by the way, just the idea overall in general.
Well, my first reflex is it's probably a dangerous venture. This is led by the private sector. It's not led by the government or any type of health agency. It's not led, of course, by the World Anti-Doping Agency. Actually, the WADA is against it. So my first reflex is what kind of message is it sending out there? So yeah, I'd be very cautious if I was a parent and one of my kids would tell me, I want to participate next year, and can I take these drugs?
By the way, I should point out it's not an all Olympic events. My understanding is it's going to be in swimming, track and field, and weightlifting, and that's pretty much it. But I'm also reading from some athletes who, either have been in prior Olympic Games or were suspended or found to be doping and weren't allowed to continue, who look at this as a way to say, okay, it's my life and I want to do this and I want to be the best there is in my particular sport. And they don't care about the doping moniker. They just want to get out there. And to your point, by the way, there's money at stake here, unlike rather just what happens in the Olympics, where for the most part you win your medal. Maybe the country gives you something when you go home. But it seems to me this is about winning money.
That's right. It's a private venture, so they want to attract eyeballs. They plan to attract up to 2,000 athletes. They're likely not going to represent any countries, because I would doubt a government like Canada or even the Canadian Olympic Committee would be behind that. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't be. And the prize money could be up to $1 million. So they're trying to grab eyeballs through performance that would, that would be doped by doped athletes. Now, to their credit, the athletes will be part of this experiment. So they're essentially like lab rats, if you pardon the expression.
No, I get it. Sure.
So the organization will assign to them some scientific technicians and some doctors, and they will monitor their progress. The problem with taking performance-enhancing drugs that are prohibited under the World Anti-Doping Agency's code, there's two things. There are issues where you have an unfair advantage on your competitors. Okay, that's one thing. But the other thing is that a lot of those substances have not been tested on humans for short, medium, or long-term effects. And some of those substances do have deleterious effects on the kidneys, on the liver. And you may very well have a report that says after 3 months or 6 months that there's only good things coming out of it. Performance has been enhanced. But what will happen 5, 10, 15 years from now when there's chronic liver disease that develops? And it'll be hard. It'll be hard to point that it was specifically because of taking those drugs, because people have liver and kidney disease all the time.
That's the point, right? I wonder how many people think about that right now for this, what's the expression we might use is short-term gain for what could be long-term pain. But beyond even pain, of course, you may be debilitated by virtue of having taken these drugs. We don't know. But other people might say, Patrice, you know what? It's my life. I want to do it. I don't care. I want to get out there and try to win this $1 million if I can. It's kind of an odd dichotomy here in a sense, isn't it?
Well, of course it is. And we live in a society where there are no laws against it. So if a private entrepreneur, a multimillionaire, Aaron D'Souza, who's behind this, wants to inject millions of dollars and attract eyeballs and make money out of it, there's nothing really preventing him. I just want to remind everyone that the whole edifice of anti-doping in the Olympic world, in the sports world, is based on private contracts. It's not by virtue of legislation. It's not the government that prohibits you from doping. It's by virtue of a contract when you agree to take part in high-level sport or Olympic Games. You agree in writing and in a contract that you will not take those drugs, and you agree to submit to tests under WADA. So here, we're completely outside of this universe, and it's really free for all.
It's kind of like having a race and just telling everyone to go as fast as you can, cut off whoever. Maybe that's a bad analogy, but I mean, the idea that, you know what, there are no rules here. That's why it was interesting to read that point about medical specialists being on site and determining whether someone, I don't know, whether the drugs they took are safe or not, or if they took too much. What's that supposed to prove?
Well, I've been in, I have an expertise in doping, and I've seen a lot of things, and I've heard a lot of high level doctors and specialists testifying that, for example, for SARMs, which is a steroid like substance that people can get on the internet, SARMs will make your muscles grow, and when we have those experts testifying in front of me, because I'm an arbitrator, I'll hear those cases. When we have those experts testifying in front of me, they can't conclude that this substance is safe because they've never tested it on humans. And the question is, well, why didn't you test it on humans? And they look at me with, large eyes, and they say, well, we wouldn't dare to do it. We can test it on lab rats, but we won't test it on humans because these substances are so unpredictable that it would be just too dangerous and ethically unproductive.
Look, it's not going to happen until next May, and I guess whatever backlash there is, it probably won't make a difference. You're right. It's about money. Someone wants to go ahead and do it, and it's going to happen, so we'll keep an eye on it. Patrice, I thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Pleasure. Have a great day.
Take care.
Introducing Bryan Adams Radio on iHeartRadio. Hosted by Bryan Adams himself.
Join me for an insider look on a wild ride through 40 years of global rock and roll.
Bryan Adams Radio. Now available on the free iHeartRadio app. Or ask your smart speaker to play Bryan Adams Radio on iHeartRadio.
Who's ready to rock?
Kids wanna rock.